Welcome to Entomed.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Brenda doesn't like to drink after the cheers. She
feel
wants bad
weird.
luck.
Oh, I feel like one of us has to be talking. Okay, now
There can be a dead sound. It's like silence with a stranger.
But
It's
I'm
okay.
socially awkward, so I can't do that.
It's important to relax into silence.
Well, here we are again, and I want to hear what's on your nightstand right now.
Yeah, I'm currently re-listening to The Dark Artifices. I'm on the third book. I didn't listen to the first book. I started with the second.
And who's this by?
Oh, sorry, Cassandra Clare. And the third book's called, I think it's called Queen of Heir and Darkness. I could be wrong.
I wouldn't know. I haven't read these.
Yeah, just know it's The Dark Artifices. By Cassandra Clare.
Sorry, keep going. Just having intrusive thoughts.
Anywho, and then I just finished the new Krista and Ritchie book.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I know you wouldn't be, and it's not a type of book that you would like, but I like it.
Yeah, we'll describe it for everyone else who might.
They just came out with a new. They have kind of like a universe that they've created. They write other things. I'm a part of this universe, and they have like their first series, which is like the Addictive Calloway series. That's what it's called.
That's what it's called?
Like that's what the whole
overreaching thing. The Addictive Calloway?
Yeah, because one is the Addicted series, and the other is the Calloway Sisters series. But you bring them together. There's a lot of information. I'm not going to bore you with it. There's so much information about them on YouTube. Feel free to just put it in. And then they have that series is great, and then they have another series which is like those main characters' children called the Like Us series, and that's like they're famous, blah blah blah. It's like it's like bodyguard relationships. That there's a lot of books in that one,
like security bodyguard.
Yeah, because they're famous.
I don't know what other kind of bodyguards they're.
Yeah, for famous people, they're not bouncers. In case that's what you were thinking.
Yeah.
And then they just came out with another series called the Cobalt. I can't say that word. Cobalt Empire. How embarrassing for me. The first one's called Burn Bright. It's like one of the families, and it was perfect. It was everything I wanted it to be. I read it literally.
What did you want it to be?
Exactly
for those who are listening and want to know why they should
it's like a romance series. Okay. And it was like a perfect like a lot of their other romances are like people that kind of knew each other when they were younger. This is like they met and then you watch them kind of become friends and then they fall in love, and it was just like so well depicted. It's exactly what it feels like when you first start liking someone.
Fall in love with a childhood friend?
No. That's their old ones.
Okay.
Their old series are a lot of like childhood friends to lovers.
Got it. Okay.
This is just like they're like 19. It's young adult, like younger people, or I guess early 20s. I don't know what they call that genre of like the 20 new adult. Yeah. It was just like such a good romance. It was one of their best, 100%.
Okay.
I loved it. I literally read it in a day. I stayed up till 3
a.m. This was all this week?
Finish it. Yeah, I listened to Lord of Shadows and I read Burn Bright this week.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And I'm currently listening to Queen of Heir and Darkness.
Okay, which is also Cassandra Clare. I can't track all these Cassandra Clare books. Okay.
Yeah, I was reading Rehunt the Flame.
With me. We were listening to it together on audio because we went on a road trip.
But the audiobook is awful.
No, I actually like it. It just puts the voices are too soothing.
Yeah, it's like genuinely like
so it's not
sedative for me. It makes me fall asleep. So I had to pause that one because at work I've been like, it's been very, very busy. And like when I get home, my brain cannot physically read. I can just listen. So I had to choose audiobooks. So
yeah, okay.
We Hunt the Flame is on pause.
Okay, well, so I started reading last weekend, physical form, Death of an Author.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like 3 stories in one. So it's the story of this writer who's going through hard times and then ends up writing the first ever book for her of speculative fiction about robots. And it happens to just be like this groundbreaking book, and she gets famous. So it's like the story of her book, like you get chapters of her book in between the story about her, and then also interviews with her family about her because clearly something has happened to her. And so I was reading that and honestly really enjoying it, but then I had the same problem this week where I got into my work week and I couldn't focus on a physical form of a book. Yeah, I have to clarify that.
Or trees or anything.
Nothing. It's all a blur.
I needed to live somewhere else.
But then I started reading that book, which you can't see, and it's too far for me to grab, which is, see if I can remember. It's a nonfiction book, and that for some reason is holding my attention, and it's a people's history or a history of protest in the United States.
Yeah, it wasn't called The People's History.
She's gonna grab it for us. A protest history of the United States. I was very close. I just started it, but in times like these, I wanted to feel hope from other movements in time, and that caught my attention. So that's also kind of what I'm currently reading right now. Is there anything else? And I'm trying to learn French, so I'm listening to French with Paul Noble, which I highly recommend to audiobooks. It's very good.
Shout out to Paul Noble.
Shout out to Paul Noble, whoever you are. Cool. Should we draw from the bowl of mysteriousness?
Let's do it. Yeah. Go ahead and get in there.
Okay, so this is... Okay.
That's no fun. You gotta mix it up.
There's rules. I can't just do it my way.
She doesn't know how to pick things out of a bowl, clearly.
Clearly. Okay, well. I probably grabbed the same one. Oh boy, you're handwriting. Oh, great. Books you read in the summer. Oh. Okay, we both have to answer this.
Oh, okay. I forgot that was the case.
I
okay.
just decided you just made a rule for me about how I draw, so I'm making a rule for you.
That's just how people do it, Brenda. That's society's role.
I will say I am a little different than your typical summer reader, and that normally summer is when you read your light beach reads, and I have a hard time during the heavy work time doing hefty books. So in the summer, when I have more vacation time, I do actually try to take on some heftier books that require more focus because I actually have more brain space.
Yeah.
But that said, if I am having a picnic or laying on a beach, I'm very sensitive to sound. And so if there's people talking around me, I can't focus. So I do need those light beach reads.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure what a beach read for me would be. It's not the same for you. You talk first about what you read in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit like you in that it does change. It's easier for me to answer, like, what did I read this summer?
Yeah, there you go.
Because, like, it does, my mood changes depending on what's going on in my life. But as I said, I work at school, so I do tend to have, like, extended periods of time throughout the year where I can read. So, like, during Christmas break, I can usually, like, get into more in-depth things where I'm not working or whatever. This summer, I read... the new Taylor Jenkins Reid, Atmosphere. I thought it was very good.
Which I literally saw someone reading. Where was I the other day? Oh, I went to like a happy hour alone after work and to read a book, and someone was reading. There was another woman sitting alone reading Atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm not like a Taylor Jenkins Reid fanatic where I think everything she does is great, but I think when she does, like, some of her books hit perfectly, and this was one of them where it was like, it was just good characters, good story, good entertainment.
Nice.
And then halfway through this summer, I was reading a lot of like contemporary books, well into like winter, spring, summer. And that kind of ranged, but I was like super into like character driven stories, and like I was like into messy. I had a messy boy era, or just reading a whole bunch of young men being messy and growing older. I've had my messy girl era, which was last year. So this year was like messy boys.
This is what she's reading, not what is happening in her
what
life.
I want,
just to be clear.
Because like it's fun to read about those types of characters and stories.
Yeah.
And then like halfway through the summer, I'd say around. Oh, I read Hungerstone. I did a little bit of horror.
I need to read that.
Hungerstone was really good, and I'm not like a super horror person, so that was like one of my like dip my toes in. And then towards the end of the summer, I'd say like the second half of July, August, is I just got fully into young adult fantasy, and I've decided that is my version, as long as it's done well, obviously, is my version of like romantasy. Because there's always romance.
Most always there's romance,
yeah, subplot and or major plot, depending on the book. So I got super into that, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is...
Which is a great segue, because that is the topic for today. We're going to talk about YA fantasy. But before we do, I should probably answer the question. And now that I've thought through, this summer, my light reading for like beach reads has been thrillers.
Oh, there you go. That's other people do that. Yeah, that's a thing.
Because it's that fast pace that can keep your attention. So like books like God of the Woods was a great one that kept my attention. And
I wouldn't call that a thriller per se, but I did think it
Or
was a
like
good book.
murder
Mystery.
mysteries.
Yeah, mystery.
So,
Yeah, it's a little
so
slower
murder
paced.
mysteries,
Yeah.
thrillers, that kind of stuff. Which, okay, this is off books, but I also just watched this new murder mystery on Netflix called The Residence by Shonda Rhimes. Check it out. Very timely. A little on the nose, but I love
Sometimes
Shonda
you
for
need
that.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, speaking of things that are on the nose, Lord of Shadows, the second book in the Dark Artifices, also is on the nose. I was like, when? Because I know this is a newer series, and I was
Yeah.
like, when did this come out? And I was wondering if it came out during the first presidency. I think it did.
Probably.
And I was like, boy, was she
We're all
describing
writing about
something that was
dictators
coming.
right now.
And she has a new series, that her last series, coming out in the spring of next year. And it's like a direct carry on from this Dark Artifices.
So much. It's impressive.
And I'm like, oh yeah, it's crazy. And I'm curious to see how she picks it up in this climate, because like a big part of it is othering and dictators and people just being shitheads.
Yeah. What a wonderful world.
Yeah. I have to, sorry, one more tangent. I keep telling Brenda this. I just think it is so funny how for like years I've seen on YouTube, or like I'll read a young adult book and I'll be like, this villain is too like mustache twirly. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, from what was that Canadian show with the Mountie and the Bullwinkle?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
But the villain literally has a mustache.
Oh yeah, that's where it comes from. Yeah. That's where it comes from. I'm sure it's
not maybe the originator,
but it's just
that's what came to mind.
But it's just very like one-dimensional. You're like, give them more dimension, make them more interesting. This doesn't feel realistic, and then all of a sudden we have a president that I'm like, you're that fucking.
This is actually real.
You're that person. Actually,
not exaggeration.
This is based on reality. You are not. You actually do twirl your mustache like. If you had one, that's what you would do.
True.
You are one-dimensional. Sometimes people are just shitty people. Anyways, it's top of mind.
On that note, let's talk about YA fantasy that we love.
Yeah, okay.
And before we start, when did you start reading YA fantasy, and how did you get into it?
Actually, yeah, that's a good question, because when I very first moved here, I joined a book club with
I thought she was going to say she met me.
No.
Which is true.
Maybe we did know each other at the same time, but you weren't writing YA at this time. I'll just say that.
I was writing middle grade at the time.
Well, not that I knew about it. You were writing that.
I didn't talk about it.
The Oregon story. That's what I knew about. And poetry. That's what you told me, is that you wrote those things. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I was in this book club, and they would only read YA, and I left the book club because I didn't like any of the stories. I was like,
I want to know what they were reading.
This is like, why would I want to read this? This is annoying. Reading teenagers, like teenagers, and I don't want to be in the head of a 15-year-old. I'm not into this.
Also, Paige is a school psychologist, so she is often in the head of teenagers.
Not at that time. Not at that time. I was working with kids, but I wasn't a school psychologist. So I left that book club, and then actually what got me into YA again was you, because you started reading it and you would like recommend things. And now I have a better sense of like, because there are some YA books that I remember that I read, and I would be curious to read them again now that I'm a little bit more into it and I kind of know what to expect. Because there were a couple I remember that you recommended that I was like, I'm not into it. It's too teenagey. And I just can't do it. But I am curious to try again because I wasn't as into it, and I do ebb and flow with what genres I want to be reading. Like there are times when I pick up a YA and I'm just like, I can't do this, and then there's other times where it's like, no, this is exactly what I want.
So many recommendations for you, but not fantasy. I'm thinking contemporary, but we're gonna talk about fantasy.
Anyways, but yeah, that's how I kind of got back into it, is through you and you like recommending things that you thought I would like. Which is very, Brenda does that with literally everything: food, wine, books.
Really?
Yeah, well, maybe not food, wine and books.
Offended. It's because I have celiac, so I can't eat a lot of food. So she doesn't want the gluten-free.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'll eat them with you. They're good.
Anywho,
I just maybe know what I like.
So, what's one that you've loved this summer that you've read?
Well, how did you get into YA?
Okay, fine. I was gonna skip that. I don't think I ever got out of YA. I grew up reading a lot, and I loved fantasy and speculative fiction because I felt like I had a very small world growing up, and it gave me a break from that, which is why I eventually started writing YA, was to provide that for others. And maybe I didn't talk about reading YA as much when we first met because let's get the feminism conversation going here and hatred coming, but like,
for sure,
just like for a while there was the genre called chick lit, which I felt
Mm.
like was super demeaning
It's still
towards
there.
women. Like they're good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still there?
Yeah. I
Jeez.
see it on Goodreads as a thing.
I hate that.
Me too. It's
But I was kind of
terrible.
trying to push against that earlier in my 20s, and so
Mhm.
I wouldn't talk about reading YA because it felt like women my age read YA and it was only women, and it felt like there was a judgment, which bullshit.
There was.
I mean, there
but,
was,
but not one
there
that
should
is
be,
legitimate.
'cause I started reading it critically, and these books are brilliant and could be winning the awards that adult books are reading.
Yeah.
It's just that adults aren't reading them; they've dismissed them,
Mhm.
and it's amazing what YA does. So, yeah, I read YA voraciously, and I try to keep up with it because it is also what I write.
Yeah. I mean,
and
yeah,
you gotta
makes sense.
you gotta know what's going on, but also I just
Mhm.
I love what people can do with that voice, and so much of it is really a matter of marketing.
Mhm.
There are I think that's why we now have new adult as a genre,
Yeah.
because enough YA people were like, this could be adult, and it can be.
Yeah, I would say like
that's a whole other podcast topic.
Yeah, I would say the Cassandra Clare books. I'm like, yeah, the characters are aged young.
Yeah.
But the things that they're doing.
Yeah, but they started.
No, they're adults.
I always shock people with this. Like, they started as YA books and now they're marketed as an adult books.
Yeah.
And like Naomi Novik's graduate books, like, those are YA. I'm sorry, but they got marketed as adult and they received more attention because of it, because people praise adult books more. Anyway, don't get me started. I love YA.
100%. Yeah. Anything that women like is always looked down upon and can't be as like prestigious or snooty as what men enjoy. That's just the way it is. That's why romance and YA are always looked down upon. It's not as literary as something else.
Which I hope someday that like N.K. Jemisin's books will surpass Dune as like the speculative fiction platform that we all aspire to. Like, let's push Dune off the shelf and let's bring up like The Stone Sky from N.K. Jemisin. Anyway, we're talking YA. For sure. We're getting on tangents. We're
tangents
passionate.
Are great. Welcome to a podcast. If you've never listened to one before, this is what they're like.
This is what we do.
Here's my thought. Here's my intrusive thought. Let's talk about it.
And
I promise not to give you all of them. I had one at the start, and it wasn't important for you to know.
Well, what do we want to talk about first?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have one that's top of mind that you've read recently that you want to talk about?
Yeah, okay. I'll talk about the Little Thieves trilogy, which I did tell her about. And after
Margaret Owen, right?
Yeah.
Which I do. I don't have those books, but I have not on this shelf. Different bookshelf. I have a Margaret Owen book on my shelf.
After I read each one, I watched like YouTubes about it because I like to do that. And I was surprised by people's opinions about the subsequent books. To me, Little Thieves was very good, and I felt like each one was good. Yeah. I didn't think they got worse as they went along, which other people felt like. I do think that like those books are about a young person processing childhood trauma and trying to have their first relationship and their first love. And I think it is done very well and very realistically. Like, I was like, that's what you have, like, trauma.
That's real. You don't just go fight a war and then go fight another war.
Yeah. It's not even that. It's like they're talking about their childhood trauma of what happened to them, and you're having it, like, obviously when you try to have an intimate relationship with someone and you've had trauma from intimate relationships as a child, these things come up. Yeah. And you don't behave perfectly and you act in a way that is not always best for the relationship, and you're also a little obsessive. Like, the relationship is a little bit unhealthy until you're healthy, and so it is definitely
wisdom for the world right now. This is also a therapy session.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, if you have
trauma, can't be healthy until you're healthy,
or at least attempting to be. And sometimes you need another human to help, like, show you like these behaviors are not healthy, or in what's the word I want? In not helpful for a healthy relationship. There's another word I wanted, but it's not there.
That works.
Anyways, I thought they were very well done. I thought the romance was very good. I thought the fantasy was very good. The whole thing I really, really liked. So I would recommend that trilogy. That's a trilogy that I recently read and was like, that's one that I would use as like a re-listen when I just need something to fall asleep to that's entertaining. It would be a re-listen for me. I thought they were really good.
I'm looking forward to reading it, and I will soon.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, let's talk about We Hunt the Flame, because partial through it, and I've read it and I'm rereading
just like
it.
a quarter of the
But
way.
I'm
But that's
curious,
okay.
just like so I love We Hunt the Flame. Great, great YA fantasy. We'll pop it up on the screen. And it is like perfect woman warrior and good amount of romance, but not so much that it takes over the book. I like my fantasy with a sliver of romance, not a romantasy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see like strong characters, but I don't want the core story to be about how they met. I want it to be about how they develop as humans.
Yeah,
because
sure.
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, what's your like so far? What is making you want to keep reading?
I don't think I can answer that right now.
Oh, okay.
Only because I started reading it on a beach vacation, and I do think that I missed bits. Like I think it's a book that the reason why I stopped reading it is because I was like, I think I need to actually pay attention a little bit more because I was kind of
Yeah.
confused. And I could tell that I was going to like it. I could tell that it was going to entertain me, but I was confused. And I also was like, you need to be paying more attention than you are. There's like
Yeah.
more details going on in this book. It's not a book that you can't be paying attention to understand the world, is what I'd say. But
Okay.
what I enjoyed about it is it's dual perspective, and I do always like
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
like when you are in both the main characters' heads. And I enjoyed well, that's my thought. I don't know.
She enjoyed things about
And
it.
I enjoyed Brenda, you talk about it now.
Well, for me, like I growing up loved Robin Hood stories. They were some of my favorite, and I love Robin Hood stories that are retold with a woman. And this
Is it a retelling
it's
of Robin
not.
Hood?
It's not a
Oh,
retelling of Robin Hood.
okay.
But I anytime you've got a woman huntress, which is stupid that we have to say huntress, but that's what they
Whatever.
say in the book.
Yeah.
Woman huntress. I'm like, yeah, she's wearing her cloak and she's shooting bows and arrow.
Yeah,
and
I
love
also
that.
it's Middle Eastern,
Yeah.
and I really enjoy Middle Eastern stories,
and
fantasy
getting the
stories.
mythology
Yeah.
of like their mythical creatures
Yeah.
and beings. And
What was that
that
one that the first one is like City of Copper and Bronze and whatever?
Yeah.
What is that one called?
That's so good. City. Well, I don't remember which one is first, but there's City of Brass,
I think
City of
it's
Copper,
yeah.
and another metal.
The metals go up, so
Gold?
whatever the lowest. I think gold is yeah. I think that's right. But I like loved those, and that was one of my
books.
first ones
We're
that.
talking about those now.
Yeah. Moving on.
I don't know that they're marketed as YA, but I think they can be YA.
Oh, they're marketed as YA.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. That's definitely YA.
I've been seeing those in the adult section. I think they're one that got moved
Oh,
over.
maybe they've been moved over because they're getting popular. Yeah, because I have seen them in more places now.
Yeah. Oh, they're so good.
But yeah, that was like my first sort of like introduction. That one's based out of Egypt. Whereas this one, I think, is supposed to be based out of Saudi Arabia. The We Hunt the Flame.
Location.
Yeah, okay.
It's been too long.
Or it might have been, I can't remember. Anyways,
we'll highlight it over our heads. We'll do the research.
Either way, like that was my first introduction, was the City of Brass or whatever. Yeah. And I just find I like the aesthetic of a desert. I like it, just the atmosphere of those books.
Yeah.
Feel when they're in a fantasy form, which is the only form. I mean, I'm sure I would like it in other forms, but yeah, I do like reading desert stories now that I'm thinking about it, no matter what form.
Interesting.
I like how that kind of informs the story as well, because that is a part of, even with the We Hunt the Flame, it's the environment.
Yeah, the environment, the forest.
Like right where I stopped is where they're starting to go off on their journey.
Yeah,
and they're going to be like crossing first a sea and then a desert, I think. Or I imagined a desert.
Really selling you on this book.
I know.
Like, what is this even about?
Very clear.
We've talked about 2 books now.
Read them.
But we both recommend We Hunt the Flame. I haven't read the second one yet because I'm rereading the first one before I read the second. And also, what I was going to tell you earlier is I was talking with my writer group that I meet with in the mornings, and I am stuck writing the second book in a series. And I was like, I have been in writer's block for a very long time, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And one thing you learn from reading and from, if you go to grad school, but you don't need to, just read books, is you learn from mentor texts. And so I'm actually intentionally going back and reading that to see how she moves the story from the first to the second, and what works and what doesn't work, because that's how we learn as writers. So I'm excited to dig into that. But definitely Chakraborty, the City of Brass books. But let's move on. We love these books.
Yeah. First, I just want to say I learned this. You can look it up. I learned this when I started reading Cassandra Clare, Holly Black and Cassandra Clare are in like a quick group together. They're like best friends.
It happens when
And
you write.
that immediately made me like Cassandra Clare more because I loved Cruelpin so much. And actually, sorry, I'm going on so many tangents today, but like the fairies, I feel like if you read both of them, the stories actually go really well
They're
together.
both set in fairy worlds and the fae and the night hunt and I don't know
Well,
if that comes in
yeah.
those books. But...
Well, I mean, there are fairies. Not what she just said is not 100% true about Cassandra Clare's books, but
Oh,
there
I haven't
are
read it.
fairies in it, and they are similar to Holly Black's fairies. And
Okay.
I could tell that like they were drawing from the same inspiration. And
Sorry, when you said Cassandra Clare, I immediately went to Court of Thorns and Roses.
oh no, those fairies
those
aren't
are-
the same
those
at
are-
all.
Well, I think they're similar. They're violent and passionate, and it's like,
I don't agree.
oh, okay, well, that's why we're here to talk, because we don't agree on things.
Sitting here being like, no, not
I mean,
the same fairies.
I love these books, and I read these after reading the first Sarah Maas book, and I love these more. And this is interesting because I feel like they both have toxic relationships in them,
For sure, yeah.
and I don't know why I'm okay with this one.
Well,
I think it's because they're both toxic.
They're equal, yeah. Whereas the other one is definitely like toxic masculinity.
Yeah,
And this one is just they're
they're
both
both
kind of
toxic
assholes.
humans.
Yeah.
They're terrible, but I can't
They're both
stop reading
fairy-esque.
it. Like, so it's a trilogy. I'm also gonna reread these right now to see how
I
they.
have re-listened to those books so many times.
Okay,
This is a reread series for me. I love it.
what brings you back?
I think it's a good fantasy. Two, I think like clearly Holly Black understands the lore of fairies. Like her fairies
definitely.
are
It's deep.
accurate fairies.
Yeah.
And done really well. Where it's like it's a fun time of like working around the lies.
Yeah.
And like the not being able to lie. We're talking like but maybe you have no idea about fairies. But fairies can't lie.
You should know this.
I just assume everybody has all the knowledge that's in my brain. I never got theory of mind. I think like the romance is a really good slow build.
It's a good slow burn.
Kind of like what's going on. I actually when I started the series, I knew nothing about it. I had no idea which prince was the cruel prince because in the first book there's lots of princes.
They're
and
all
cruel. and there are some sort of as an adult, I don't think you would pick up on this as a kid, but as an adult, I do feel like there's sort of like an underlying sexuality going throughout. I think fairies in general are sexual.
Oh, they're very sexual, yeah.
Sexual and aggressive. And so like all of the princes, I was like, is that the cruel prince? And he's like a predator? Is this the cruel prince? I really genuinely didn't know because like a lot of times she's interacting more with the other princes, not the one her age, until like towards the end. And I was like, oh, and I felt like that was fun of me trying to figure out who is the cruel prince. And then I felt like maybe everybody knows, but I didn't know.
I maybe didn't know in the first book, but
obviously, they tell you at the end of this one.
So the story, it's set in fairy world, but like the fae, not like fairy world like Disneyland, like the actual historical fairies,
the real fairies that really exist.
Some people believe in them. And the character, her father is like a general in the army for the king of fairies, but she is half human. Or all human?
She's human.
She's human.
She has a half sister who's half fairy. Okay. She's all human, and she has a twin.
Okay, so right, because she has no fairy skills. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, she's trying to. She doesn't want to. Anyways, go on.
She doesn't want to be. So she goes to live with, her fairy family, and they're very classist against people who aren't fairies.
Mm-hmm. They're mean to humans.
They're very cruel and mean. And she, instead of being like, I don't want to be a part of this, is like, I want to be the best at this. And tries to become the most skilled warrior, assassin person to win her father's approval, perhaps.
Wins fairies' approval just to feel safe.
And to feel powerful.
A big part of it is just like feeling safe, having control, because she feels totally out of control all the time. Yeah,
that's a good, like, looking at the underlayers, the psychological underlayers. But I think why I like it, I mean, she is messed up.
Oh yeah,
like very messed up. And does messed up things. But it keeps me coming back because you don't know what she's going to do next, and you're vying for her, even though she does terrible things.
She's an anti-hero, 100%.
But not to the extent, like there's books where the anti-hero, I'm like, I hate you and I'm gonna keep reading, but there's no redeeming qualities.
Yeah, no,
I hate love
not
her.
that. Yeah, not like that. No,
I don't know what it is.
she is likable.
She's likable.
Yeah, she's likable.
She's super badass.
Yeah,
But yeah, this trilogy was like in years the first series I read that like I couldn't put it down and caught my attention. And why? I mean, Holly Black's amazing, so read everything by Holly Black.
Yeah, no, it was very good. Yeah, it's one of those books that, and she has another one in this world.
Oh yeah,
called The Stolen Heir, which I also really loved.
Yeah.
I just feel like her fairy books are some of the best out there. If you're going to read about fairies, start with Holly Black. Like, I didn't really know that much about fairies. I knew like general information that everybody knows, but like reading Holly Black helped me be like, oh, I like this. Because actually, I read A Court of Thorns and Roses first as well, and to me, those are like sexy fairies, like, but not in a like not like hot, masculine, muscly, sexy fairies.
No.
These are real sexy fairies.
These are real sexy fairies. But it's not. It's not all on the page. Like the sexuality.
No. It's like a tone that's in it. It's it's a total undercurrent. It's not
like
direct.
Dark, mysterious.
It's not direct at all. It's just very much like everything they're just oozing sexuality, and Holly Black has that on the page. Like I was horny the whole time.
Was I? I don't know. I'll have to reread
was, but that's my type of horny. So.
There's other. This is making me think of like other stories that are set in the Fae world that I want to talk about, but I think I want to save them because I think we should do an episode on retellings of classic tales that we actually like.
I don't know if I have enough to say about that, but you can set me up and I'll read things.
Well, that will be a new episode. But let's talk about another series. What else in YA has been just really like sticks with you for speculative
fiction? Should we do another that we've both already read, or should we diverge into things that only we?
Why don't you do one that I haven't read?
Okay. Another author that I think is very good, and I'm like, why doesn't she write more books? Is this is one she had, Strange the Dreamer. This is a duology. It's Laini Taylor.
Well, we'll put it on the screen.
Just so you know. Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares are the two books. And also she has another trilogy that's kind of like set in the same world. And if you read the first trilogy, you'll see the tie-in, but you don't need to read this duology. And this is definitely the one that's more popular. The other one's like Shadow and Bone or something. I can't actually remember.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
But her books, I think, are, again, really good world building. Hers is based out of angels. Fallen angels and like devils and things like that. And actually, after reading her stories, similar to Holly Black, since reading them, like things will come up in other books where I'm reading about angels and devils or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, is that like a thing that I just didn't even know about? I thought it was just Laini Taylor's world. She has like words and things that she describes that I see in other books, and I sometimes wonder, like, did they get that from her? Specifically, seraph blades. I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't know. I don't read a lot of fantasy around angel lore.
She uses seraph blades here, and I've seen them in other YAs with similar like dynamics. But I would say in general, like this one, I read it a long time ago, and I read it when I had COVID. I listened to it, and actually, the man who does We Hunt the Flame is the man who does Strange the Dreamer.
Narration.
And I would like to read it again because I listened to it because when I had bad COVID and I was not functioning. So I would be curious to read it again and not listen to that man who has like a voice like velvet that puts me to sleep.
It's not that his voice is bad; it's that it's too
so
soothing.
Deep. It's so deep. It's just it's like immediate. It's my own sleeping pill. But I just feel like it's like the main characters are really good, very good world building. There is a romance, but it's not like the main point of it. It's just like a good fantasy. Like it's just a good time. It's easy to read. I'm not sure if I could go super in depth with it because it was a couple of years ago that I read it and I was sick, I think. But this is a series that like I would reread. I just haven't gotten around to it, but I know it's really good.
And this copy is on my shelf. I haven't read it yet because I was recommended it by a ton of people who write YA lit as like this is something you should learn from, like read it and study it. And it's got a Prince Award, which Prince Award is one of those awards that like not all, like the Newbery, I mean, not that they're bad. It's just I don't get excited about Newbery Award winners. Prince ones, like all of Amy King's books. A.S. King, she has won many Prince Awards. I say that as if I know that. I don't know how many. We'll correct that. But
what are the books she's written?
she writes not fantasy.
Okay.
This is why I'm surprised this is a Prince Award winner. She writes contemporary, but with like surrealist elements,
Oh,
and
fun.
that are all dealing with trauma.
I will say that because I Google when I have authors that I really like, and so far everything Laini Taylor has written I have enjoyed, which was a trilogy and a duology. So I looked her up to see, because she hasn't written in a really long time, but it says she is writing, and a new book might be forthcoming. So look out for that.
Okay,
Laini Taylor, please publish more. I like your
We're
books.
ready for more. Let's now switch to one we've both read.
No. Do one that only you've done, and then we'll end with things we both read.
Just knocked off the book I wanted to talk about.
You did.
Actually, no. I want to talk about a different book that I can't hold up, so we'll put it on the screen because I loaned it to Paige and she hasn't read it yet.
It's nothing to do with that falling over.
Yeah, we're really covering like the arc of speculative fiction. So we've had what would you say, Cassandra, Clare? Is that like
that's romantasy? In my opinion.
And then we had our Fae world, very gory
and that's
romantic.
Angels,
and then
whatever.
the angels. And now I want to talk about the Marrow Thieves by Sherry Dimeline. It's a small book.
I don't have that book.
You do. I loaned it to you.
Oh, okay.
Which, don't trust my memory. It's always wrong.
Yeah. Maybe I do. I don't know.
I did. I did.
Okay.
I asked you to read it.
Okay.
Just kidding.
I haven't.
It's a small book, but it's I would say more dystopian in the speculative umbrella. And it is, I mean, it may as well be reality. It's the author is Indigenous, and it's about a young boy during a futuristic time where Indigenous people have certain marrow in their bones that allows them to dream, and nobody else in the world can dream anymore, and it's this huge problem. And so they are putting Indigenous kids in schools, much like what actually happened, and removing their bone marrow. And so there's these, the few that are left are on the run, and they have a crew, and they're taking care of each other. But it is just like the character development, the dialogue. If you're a writer looking to learn from other writers, like read her books as a writer. It's amazing. And it's a quick read. It's not a huge book, but I would highly recommend the Marrow Thieves, which is very beautifully written and gripping, and it's one of those, I mean, a lot of, I would say, books in speculative fiction tend to be writing about what's real in the world, but under the guise of unrealistic things to allow us to write what's really happening. And it's definitely, that is historically, Indigenous children were put into schools and were treated terribly, and schools. So just orphanages. Very, very worth reading and dwelling with for a bit. So yeah.
Okay.
So we got our dystopian in there.
Cool.
This
now
one's
we'll
also
do sci-fi.
Yeah.
Now we have sci-fi.
No, this isn't sci-fi.
That's sci-fi.
No, there's no spaceships.
Yes, there is. There's a spaceship is a very important part of the story. Okay, so honestly, a little bit spoiler warning.
I don't remember. This is the second book because I have also loaned out the first book to a friend, not you, who's reading it. But this is the first one.
Scythe.
Yeah, and it's Neil Shusterman. Neil, my friend.
Yeah. He's an epic writer.
Everything he writes is groundbreaking, I swear. But this series, it's a trilogy. And it's I think it's okay, so apparently sci-fi, but also I think a little bit dystopian. It's kind of this future where people no longer die because technology has made it so that people don't die anymore. And
I will say I like how Neil, my friend Neil, describes it as well as he says it's a take on like AI and the future of technology, where the AI is actually not evil and it actually did make the world better.
This is true. I didn't think about that.
And like the AI is making people better. The world doesn't have the same problems. There isn't hunger. Your body isn't falling apart. You're not dying anymore because you don't need to, because there's an AI that's looking out for everything, and they have the best interest of humanity, period.
And the AI is piped to like straight into your mind, so you're talking to it all the time.
Yeah. And
it's like
so they create this organization called Size who kill people at random, I guess for population control. I actually don't remember why they do it.
People don't die their overpopulation is an issue and it's destroying the planet. Sounds familiar. And so because people don't die, the humane way to go about it was to have like a lottery where every year there's a lottery and names are pulled, and there are people who are anointed into this position to go out and reap the people who are drawn to help control the population. And you go through this intensive training, and they have more power than anyone in the world.
Yeah.
Um,
You follow these two main characters, and what is fun about it is one main character, so you get mentored by other Scythes.
Oh yeah.
One main character goes to work with an ethical, good Scythe, and the other one goes and works with a slightly corrupt one. And they together, he's a little mustache twirling as well. Together, like when they're first together, they're similar types of people, and you kind of watch their character development and growth based on what they're experiencing, and like the pressures they're put under. I would say the weakest part of this book is the romance. Don't go into it for a romance.
Oh, I liked it, but I don't like heavy romance.
I thought it was weak because it didn't make any sense to me. They knew each other for like 2 weeks, and then he was like, I'm not gonna spoil it, but like that he was way too in love with her for the amount of time they spent together.
Yeah, see, I kind of liked it. It was the perfect amount of, which is very little romance, but I think what I liked is, so they start as friends and then they get pitted against each other.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, because this is going to go into some of the later books, but one thing I think is really cool is how Neil explores, so like the one main character follows the good guys and becomes one herself, and like follows the order and does everything right and is trying to be an ethical person. And the other one, I can only think of their scythe names. I'm thinking of like Lucifer and
I don't remember at all what their names were. No memory.
I can't remember their actual names. Oh, Citra. I just remembered Rowan and Citra. Yeah, see, I remember their side names, which is Anastasia and Lucifer. So he ends up, working in the first book for the corrupt guy, and he realizes that the whole system is corrupted. And so he becomes kind of like a Dark Knight, a Batman, trying to work with the underworld against the system, and she's trying to work in the system for change. And I love that you have these two characters who are working honestly for the same
thing.
Good, but in different ways, and are cast as different. You know, like he's considered a villain.
Yeah.
And is
not by her though.
Not by her.
Yeah. She's aware that he's a good person.
The everything about this trilogy, the writing is amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
The character development,
so good.
The depth of the world building and philosophy.
Yeah. It was really a fun.
It's amazing.
It's a really good tale. I say the romance is the weakest part just because like I don't know. I didn't buy the ending part, and I don't want to spoil it. And I can talk about it later as to why I didn't like it. But it's not the point of the book, so it didn't matter. It didn't take away from the book whatsoever because it's not the point of the book. It doesn't matter that these two people, that I felt like the romance was a little bit weak, because like the point of the book is watching these two characters and the like.
Their moral choices in life and how they carve out their paths.
Yeah, and sort of like, there's really good twists and turns. Like they're like towards the end, I was like, oh, I didn't see this coming. There's kind of like there's a thing going on throughout that you're just not sure like what's going on. There, people are being chosen, something's being built, and you're like, what's going on? Why is this happening? And you're not sure why. And you have these little snippets, and I feel like it comes together really well at the end, where you're like, oh my god, that's what was happening this whole time. It's layered
impressive.
Throughout. It's really
impressive.
Really good.
And this is again like this one. I would say this trilogy is strictly marketed as YA, but I think this deserves to be on. Not that some deserve and don't deserve, but I want to see this marketed to adults as well, because just the philosophical questions that are asked in it would go over my head as a young adult, but now reading these, I mean, I think about death a lot, and so a story about Grim Reapers who are trying to do ethical gleaning. Whoa. So
it's a good book.
I mean, should we end
great
with
series.
that book for this? So that's Thunderhead. And I feel like we've covered quite a gamut of speculative fiction in YA, so hopefully that gives you something to read, depending on your tastes and what you're into. And tune in again to hear us go on many tangents.